Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to our podcast on Black Lives Matter with Third Floor Podcasts. I'm Reese Summers. I'm here with Scott Manning, Ryan, Dwight, Isabel, and Ethan. So, how are you guys all out doing? Are you guys all good?
Yeah, we're good.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Yes. I'm blessed.
I'm good,
We all good here.
Okay, so we should probably just get straight to it. What do you guys think is the biggest issue facing the black community right now?
In England or America?
Just
which one?
collectively, all of them.
All of them.
You can single them out if you like.
No, I
Oh,
can't speak for the Americans.
I don't know about
Right.
America, but
do British.
the biggest issue for the black community right now? Isabel, you're black. What about you? What do you think?
yeah. Qualified for this one.
I don't think I am.
No.
That's quite a difficult one, actually.
The biggest issue.
Yeah,
Alright, Bob, listen.
biggest
Okay,
one, man.
stereotyping. Let's say that.
Yeah.
For example, let's go for the most most obvious one: wearing tracksuits, speaking
Yeah.
slang and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's a big issue. People just automatically think you're uneducated, you're hoodlum, you're on the streets and all of that rubbish. When that's not the case. It's all to do with your environment, you know.
Yeah, it would.
Would you say that the police do more of an abuse of power over the black community? You can see this is kind of evidenced in
Yeah.
a lot of films and TV shows as well. You ever seen Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? It's represented on there. Will Smith talks about it quite a lot. We have it on the entirety of the film for the NWA's film. It's all over there. Would you say that the black community have a lower income than?
Not particularly.
yeah,
I wouldn't
not-
say that. I would say the people who come over from their home countries, they move in just for our country. They move into cheap housing, which is like estates and stuff, and then that's where like a lot of drug trafficking and knife crime happens, and that just they're coincidentally raising their kids there. They get tangled up in it, so
It's
it
a cycle,
appears to be majority of black people committing knife crime and moving drugs and stuff like that. But it's only because
Of refugees.
the people who are moving over here don't have a lot to start with, so that's their best start.
It takes it like what Dwight said with like it's about your environment that you're in as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of
If you're in
refugees.
that kind of environment, you probably are most likely to get.
Would you do you guys know what redlining is?
No.
No, I can't say that.
So
Yeah,
it's essentially, if you want to put it in a short term, so would you say the black community get less from like government or such? Like, so higher classes might get more things or products than the black community.
Can you be more specific?
I was
As
gonna
in,
say,
like,
I'm thinking like more like opportunities.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like opportunities with hiring practices and such.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think there's
100%.
discrimination there?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
There's always going to be.
Somebody called Steve and somebody called Oluwatunde, they're not getting the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not getting
Right,
the same
right.
type of,
And that definitely like goes into more of the refugees as well, because they come over, don't have really much qualifications,
Obviously.
but they still don't get the help they need to do that to get a job.
That's why the chain line continues, because even though they could be qualified for it, or like they could be right for the position, because they're in those like areas, they don't get the opportunities to get those things and like kind of break the cycle, if that makes sense.
Do you get? How do you think we should like that kind of thing could be resolved?
Probably have a system in place where refugees can be educated, at least. Like, if not the adults, then at least the children that come over.
How about you guys? Do you have anything how do you think this could be resolved within stuff like discrimination and such? Do you think it'll continue to be a thing for many years to come, or do you think because of all the protests and such this year, we're gonna get any changes with that in the future?
To be honest, I don't know if it can be resolved. Like, have you guys heard about what happened with Sainsbury's with that advert?
Yeah, that was
People are getting vexed because they saw a black family. Like, I can't relate.
Yeah.
Oh,
I saw that.
So,
Yeah.
You know, so
I haven't heard
Right,
about this, but
Um,
it sounds.
Everyone's point was like the Audi version, the Audi Christmas advert. How can you relate to carrots?
Oh yeah.
Like, makes no
I
sense.
always relate to Karens.
Did you guys hear about that Sainsbury's advert? It was quite.
Didn't see it, but I
I
heard about it.
So,
didn't see it,
so a lot of
but-
people were attacking that advert just because the family in it were black.
That's a stupid
Well, it's
reason to
disgusting.
attack it.
it's so stupid.
they were offended.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
how you get offended.
How do you get offended by just a family trying to
For
have
real.
Christmas dinner or something?
Like, I
It's
saw
like
comments
basic-
saying things like, "Oh, Christmas in Nigeria," or "When's the British one coming up?" And it's just like,
Oh,
When's the British one coming?
When-
That's
exactly.
awful.
It's just
I
mad
know,
because
so
like
it's crazy.
people-
So
people-
about resolving it, I have no idea. I genuinely have no idea. You know?
I hate to say it, but I think it's always going to be an issue
Yeah.
for people.
Well, I mean, it's not something that's just come out in the 21st century, is
Oh,
it? It's
yeah,
been
it's
around
been-
for ages.
Ever since
It's not
like
It's not just
American
yeah,
Revolution, really.
it's
all
not
that
just
kind
a
of
thing
stuff.
that's just come up out of nowhere. People have always been talking about this, but with the protests and everything, is that and with the George Floyd situation, is what brought it up quite much more intensely. Would you say that any money could go into any communities or charities, or where do you think do you know of any charities?
I can't think of any specific charities, but if they put more money into those communities to stop to like prevent people from young going on the streets, so they're busy, you know. So football clubs, table tennis clubs, more activities like that. There's a less chance of them hanging around the wrong influences, being around the wrong people, you know. So it all starts from early.
Maybe even give more to like poorer families, because I know that's a big issue in our country about poor families.
Yeah, something that could have been talked about with the redlining as well is that in America, especially in Michigan, it's known as a black community in Michigan mostly, and what is seen there is that it's a lot poorer from other places in America because, or what is deemed to be because of the because people are black. Would you say there are things that we are going to need to require to achieve such like harmonization of white and black communities? And what things do you think that we might need to achieve these?
One thing that I can think about is, you know, just through the media, having more representation through media. So obviously that TV shows, movies. I'm not saying every single TV show has to be a black main character, but you know,
Right.
like it just being a note, like Black Panther blowing up. It's a good thing for the community, but the same thing, it should be normal that a black hero's like a main character that has such a good movie, you know.
Yeah.
So like, and just it's just small things. It's like, I don't know, you know, when you're younger and you get bought dolls from your family, majority of the time when you think of a little doll, it's a little white doll, you know. So there's articles out there of kids being scared of a black baby doll, which doesn't make sense. So just normalize it. So just normalizing stuff like just different ethnicities with those, so they get used to it, you know. Just yeah.
Would you think any like new laws could come into play to kind of help that situation level out?
I don't think they can like law
Yeah, I was gonna say,
people
yeah.
to do
Exactly,
for
yeah.
production people to make
Mm.
stuff. They have to be
Yeah.
creative with it, but
Like a lot of people say, oh no, black people don't have it tough because there's no law that says white people are better than black people. It's not to do with laws. It's just about how we've been conditioned, you know, and the system, how things are.
Would you guys say that? Would you guys believe that white privilege is a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no way. There's no way it doesn't exist.
Would you say? What's your opinion on that then? Would you? Would you?
It's just stupid. Like,
Yeah.
how can you think you're better than another person because your skin's lighter? That's it. That's all. That's the only difference you and that person have.
Exactly.
It should be on skill and knowledge, not on colour.
That's the whole problem of it. Isn't it?
Yeah, but yeah, like a lot of companies are more are older, so they probably don't understand much about it. So they probably going to be more defensive. But if younger people go into bigger companies and started being like the bosses and managers and all that, we could probably see a change there.
I feel like there's a misconception of white privilege. A lot of the times, some white people, they think that people be saying, there's no such thing as a broke white person or stuff like that. When obviously that's the case. There are poor white people out there, or white people with tough standards out there. But when we say white privilege, we're saying it as in like, for example, think about hair texture. A lot of the times our hair is considered messy the way how it grows out our hair. A lot of the time the standard is straight hair, you know. People ask you to straighten your hair. That's white privilege. We can't control how it grows out of our head. So it's just small things like that.
Well, yeah, it's like something like that. It shouldn't even be considered a thing. Like it's ridiculous. The fact that just because of something you can't control, it becomes a problem. It's just mad.
Do you think that the responses from protests had a positive or negative impact?
Say that again, sorry.
Do you think the protest caused a more positive or negative impact?
It's hard to say right now, really.
Yeah.
It's because of what the situation is with the world. It's hard to really do anything about certain topics.
I mean, it depends on like, because where it is, like obviously you got some protests who are like peaceful and try and get a good message across and like good information and stuff like that. But then some people were using it as an excuse to like vandalise and loot, which could have also shined in a bad light.
Like if it's like good or bad. Because obviously everyone's been complaining because it's obviously during COVID and stuff like that. But I think it was also a good thing because it started such a big movement and like with social media as well.
So with the talking about the media as well. So with the media, as in television shows or the news, do you think that it gave do you think that they tried to make it a more positive thing or a negative thing, especially on the side because you had with social media you probably see a lot more footage of the police doing shooting people that seemed innocent, like they were doing nothing, which is a majority of the time that is the case. But on what would you say was the news outlets' outlook on things?
I think it was more based around, because obviously the more like shocking it is, the more views and like stuff they're going to get, and some news sources were only looking for like clicks and that and like views, but then you obviously had some which were actually trying to like show the real reason for why the protests were happening. But so it's kind of a mixed bag in my opinion of like different opinions and stuff like that.
I've definitely seen some stuff online, like news outlets showing like videos of people getting run over or hit by police during protests and all that. Like an old guy who had to go into hospital because he got pushed down by the police, but nobody bothered to pick him up.
So would you say that the police's response was could have been better? In a sense?
Definitely.
How about you
It
guys?
could have been better, but I don't think that's on them. It's on the higher ups. They were just doing, the police officers on the streets were just doing their job. They were doing what they were told to do. But you know, you had the odd one or two, you know, showing compassion and stuff. But at the end of the day, they were doing what the higher ups told them to do. So you can't really blame the officers on the streets when it's, you know, their commanding officers and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, when it comes to social media and, like I said, news outlets, who would you guys trust more? Would you trust a person on Twitter posting about it, or would you listen more to the news? Which one do you think has a more truthful outcome that isn't just aiming for clicks or likes?
I think personally, on Twitter you have more. There's more people out there. You see a range of different opinions. You know, there's not. But the news, whether you like it or not, the news has an agenda that they're trying to push. The news know what they're trying to do. Everything they title, everything they say is for a reason. So,
Yeah.
Twitter, just because of the variety that you can see people for, against, neutral.
Yeah, I'd say Twitter as well. I'm not really one of those people that kind of watches the news, so I kind of get everything from social media, and you do see a lot more variety. Yeah.
Did you guys ever participate in any protests or anything, or were you mainly just watching them go by? Because they were quite more active, especially during lockdown. In the UK, we had a lot of situations where people were obviously breaking the lockdown's rules for the to protest and show their support. Did you guys include yourself in any of this, or?
I was there in spirit. I was too shook of Corona.
That's
Yeah.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, a lot of people. So that's another thing. Would you, if Corona wasn't stopping you, would you join in, or would you just kind of support how you could instead of going to a protest?
I support how I could instead of going out to protest. I'm just more of an inside type of person. So if I could help online, that'd be a good way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it was like because of COVID. Obviously, I wasn't really too up for like going out because it was such a peak time. But I was posting stuff on like socials to like spread positivity about it and like awareness. And for me, like obviously that's what I could have done in that moment.
Because we saw a lot of companies joining in with that as well. One of the hashtags that came up quite a while back was Blackout Tuesday. If you guys heard about that one? Yeah. Have you seen companies continue with that kind of situation, or do you think they were just kind of going for the hell of it?
Well, I think it was a majority really, because some companies obviously did care, but
Yeah.
it just made, if you kind of didn't do it as a large corporation, people would just start assuming you're against it. There's no.
Makes sense.
They wouldn't assume that you're neutral. It's there. People would just gun for you. So it was kind of, if they didn't do it, it's too much trouble for them to bother with. So.
Yeah, some people I feel like just joined in as like a trend, where it's obviously much more than that.
Yeah.
It was kind of the same with like Pride Month. I think like companies do it for the month, and then as soon as it's over, they
Yeah.
kind of change it back. And I think it might, like some companies, obviously not all, but some were doing this kind of same thing of just hopping on the bandwagon just for the appeal of like their customers and stuff like that.
Have you asked about SARS?
Do you guys know what SARS is?
Nah.
As in the disease.
I've heard of it.
I got no idea.
Zabomba.
Do you always say? Oh, so it's like in Nigeria right now, there's a special squad, and it was set up like years ago, but now they're like kind of running rampant, and they're beating on citizens there and everything. So now there's a lot of protests going on in Nigeria.
I haven't seen this.
I haven't really been on social media much, to be honest.
Well, the staple of it was the blood-soaked Nigerian flag, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that went around. Because I think someone got shot whilst holding it by a police officer. Was it an officer or whoever it was? I don't know who it was, but I haven't looked into it, but I saw it about.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about this.
it's all been like covered over by like COVID and all that, so it's probably hard to find right now.
Police brutality. Okay, so that's a big one. Police brutality. Do you guys? This is mainly, this can come up quite a bit. So, do you guys have any experiences with police brutality?
I can't say I do.
No.
No.
Nah.
Have you seen situations of it? Like any?
What, in person or online?
Obviously,
In person?
I've seen it.
Have you seen any in person?
Not in person.
No, not in person. Online, yeah, but
Mm.
not in person.
Sorry, Dwight, go on.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. You go.
I was just going to say I haven't seen any in person either.
Mm.
I was gonna.
I've-
Me too.
Fact stories from like people, but not seen.
Like, I've been lucky enough to never been through it, but I know it's out there.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah. The closest thing I've had is a stern up and down from a police officer.
The worst thing, the closest thing I've probably had is, I mean, it's not even close to police brutality. I've just been followed around the shop by security, but
Yeah, I've also been followed around before.
Yeah, you've seen. Yeah, I've seen like situations like that on social media as well. Yeah, so you have people just following you around because of your skin color. It's just horrible.
you know what the worst part is? The worst part is he was black too, and I was like, bro,
Really?
really? Well, no, it's happened more than once, obviously, but that's the one that I remember of it.
Yeah.
With that kind of situation, because you have similar skin colors, it's like, why? Do you think that they're aware of that, or?
My man's trying to get a raise. No, I'm joking. I genuinely don't know. Nah, I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Surely they must know how it feels.
Listen, he's trying to secure the bank.
He's trying to steal the bag.
What, man?
But do you think like people that are in that position should be the ones trying to change like how things are now?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they've probably been through it. Unless obviously they came from their country, or say it's from like Africa or somewhere in the Caribbean. Unless they came from like a majority black country, then it came around and then, yeah. But if not, if they grew up in England, they've probably been through the same stuff. So
Stuff, yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean, do you think is it because the cops are racist, or is it because cops are just assholes?
I mean, if they were just not nice people, I think
I mean,
they'd be
yeah.
getting a bit. It wouldn't just be one group of people, surely. They didn't all come together and go, you know what, we'll just pick on these people. Because we don't like everyone, but we can't pick on everyone.
I don't think they're racist. Obviously, there's some good, there's some bad.
Yeah.
But there's just I'm not gonna swear. There's some very not nice people
Yeah.
out there. Yeah.
It's alright to
And
swear, by the way, just not too much, obviously.
okay.
You don't have to.
PG-13.
But yeah. Jacob, do you think cops are racist?
I think some of them are definitely unstable. Some of them shouldn't be on the job, and I think they need better training.
Facts. Like imagine police like judo or something. Actually, no, judo they choke people out. We don't want to. Anyway, imagine they do some type of self-defense. Like I think, okay, actually no, never mind. They'd end up abusing that as well. But I think they should learn like normal takedown routines and not just
Right.
Get
They
them
shouldn't.
around.
They shouldn't just
Yeah,
aim for the
yeah,
gun
that
straight
you
away.
can.
not aim for
Because
the
a lot
ground,
in America, they just go straight for the gun. It's seen.
Yeah, hand on
Well,
it
you
straight
see on the
away.
news and social media, they just go straight for the gun.
Yeah.
They don't.
America's like
Or a
that.
taser.
I mean, I think there's a clear like mix of like some people they're just following like the training and like kind of the way to do it, and but then there's others that you can clearly see there's like something wrong with them. They just shouldn't be in that position of power in the first place. So I feel like there's quite a clear like difference in a way.
Facts, but even at the same time, our police in this country, they don't have guns. But I've seen videos where it's just too much. It's like 3 men on one guy, and like, and like they're complying, but they're doing all these mad arm locks and all of that. It's just like, I mean, obviously I'm not there. Obviously they might be like resisting, or maybe they have to use brute force, but it just looks like too much.
Yeah, so you can't like have the full story kind of thing. But
well, yeah, it's like I saw a video the other day. It's like this guy, he was like running to his house, like calling for his dad and stuff, and he's got 3 officers like just pinning him down, like trying to grab him, and like one started kicking him. He was just sitting there like, clearly you're not either trained or you're just not capable for that kind of job. It's ridiculous, especially when they're like even like it's like George Floyd like pleading, and it's just not right. No.
Right, tracking back a bit. Do you think that the police would be more brutal if they carried guns instead of tasers?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
So you think it would be as bad as it is in America, innit?
Oh yeah. British are always angry at
Do you
something.
think that because in America they obviously reach for their guns all the time.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about that, but like here they don't have that. They have tasers. Like,
Yeah.
like, do you think that more black people are being tasered than being killed in this country
Tasers.
because the fact they have tasers and not guns?
Yeah.
Or would the figure still be the same if they carried guns? I just want to know.
Nah, there would be a change 100%.
Yeah, obviously,
Yeah.
because we're not. Obviously, the UK isn't as big as America. We're not as widespread. But
No.
if you looked at percentages and ratios, that wouldn't matter. But like, just out of interest, do you actually think the police would be more brutal?
Oh,
Because
definitely.
you think why?
It's just, it's hard to say. Like, if you over in America.
Oh, sorry, you talking?
Oh, so, over in America, of course, like guns are legal in practically every single corner of that place.
okay.
But over here, you see like, we don't have many, apart from like the black market, of course. But if they legalize guns over here, like to not even trust the police to everyone, this place would be worse than America, 100%.
Worse.
Yeah,
You
worse.
think it'd be worse?
I feel like it would be
I don't know
worse.
about worse. I think it would be a gradual.
It
It would be a gradual thing because if you
It would be
to,
an increase,
to put it in perspective,
for sure.
if a racist police officer didn't want to deal with a black person now, they would tase them and put them in cuffs and then take them somewhere. But all really a police officer has to do is say that person wasn't complying for however long,
Yeah.
and they then have the authority to shoot.
Yeah.
So
And there doesn't seem to be any repercussions for that either.
exactly, because they were just doing their job.
That could be something that could be changed going forward. I know what happened to one of the George Floyd murderers. They got let out on bail, didn't they?
Oh yeah, but then
And they didn't they open a GoFundMe or something like that?
Yeah.
And people donated to them to that GoFundMe to let them out.
Yeah.
So that everyone, have you seen the footage of George Floyd? Everyone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's brutal. Why are you allowed on the streets?
Yeah,
A couple
exactly.
of days after, this isn't just now. This was like a week after. He was seen in the supermarket just shopping. Like I think personally, there needs to be a lot more.
Repercussions on the
There needs to be stricter repercussions for these officers.
I think it's because it's like a brotherhood for the police. They
Yeah.
stick up for each other, even if it's not the right thing.
Yeah.
Listen, I feel like brother is the wrong word. You need to sound like a cult, fam.
It's a cult.
They're all just wearing capes in there, just like,
Respect to all
yeah.
your officers where they just go along with it, innit?
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess some people say that goes back to white privilege because it's a white officer in America, a white male, straight man in America. He got flipping. I mean, I don't know if he got let off. I'm pretty sure he's in prison now. But if it was a person of color, they get him.
Yeah, there'd be no
The system
way out.
would have.
Would you think that a black officer would get the same situation, or?
Oh, that would be like tried and put in jail.
There'd be no getting out for that guy.
Yeah.
There'd be no getting out for that guy.
Has anyone watched Small Axe?
Watch what?
Small Axe.
Yeah, it's who did it?
Steve McQueen.
Stephen McQueen. He's doing a series of short films about Black lives in England. and I recommend you go and watch it. It's really good.
Yeah, all throughout history, one of the interesting stories relates to us really. It's the episode's called Red, White and Blue. I don't think it's premiered yet, but it's about a young black man was his father was killed by officers.
No, Bruce, he was assaulted.
Oh, he wasn't killed, he was assaulted. Okay, so
yeah.
mark my words, he was assaulted. and the young man, the son, wanted to change the things in the police force. So he went in as a black man into a white predominant police force, and the episode's about that. So, like, do you think that what is the state of diversity in the police right now? Have any of you had encounters with it? Like, any encounters with the
I
police?
don't see much.
I know none of you
police.
mentioned. I know none of you mentioned the fact you would actually have any. Have any of you been stopped and searched just on the record?
Oh, no.
But I have.
Have you?
I have a couple of times.
I have as well. So
I've never had an interaction
never-
with the police. So.
I've
Nah.
never really talked to any police
No.
at all.
Majority of the time, whenever I have police around my house, they are mainly just all white. There's not much of a.
Wait, so Ethan, what happened when you were stopped and searched?
Oh, I was just minding my own business. I had a work meeting in it was in Croydon, and I was just on my phone. I think I was actually trying to phone Scott, and this police officer came in and was like, "Well, are you alright? What are you doing out here so early?" It was like 10. I was just in comfortable clothes. I was just like, "Oh, I've just done something for work," and he's like, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna pat you down. It's just routine. It's nothing special." He pat me down. He was confused as to what my keys were, because he just felt the end of my keys, and he was like, "What's that? What's that?" And I showed him it was just my keys. He calmed down and was like, "Okay, you can go." So I went,
Do you feel
there
as if you
there was no thank you for letting me search you. It was just you can go.
So you felt as if you were targeted.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, was it kind of just like a one-off situation? Obviously, you were probably by yourself, right? So
Yeah, I was just by myself walking down down the road.
So there wasn't anyone else around you that could have seen that kind of situation, or like. It was
Oh yeah,
just
no,
mainly
it was a
chosen
full
out
road.
of one.
But it was just a routine search, quotation marks.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So-
Excuses for them to use.
Exactly. And he almost had a fit when he felt my keys in my pocket.
Did you feel him reaching for something? Did you feel threatened by
So-
that? What did his like? Did you think he was professional? That's it.
Well, yes and no. It's not like he didn't search me properly, but at the same time, I wasn't even paying attention to him. So it's not like we made eye contact and I seemed dodgy to him.
He just came.
It was
over
just like, "Oh, excuse me, can I, what are you doing? Where you going?" For no reason. So.
And no one else has had an experience like that.
Nah, I'm lucky, man. Shit. But how long was your keys?
Just a house key. It wasn't like a especially long key. He literally patted my left pocket. I remember it so vividly. He patted my left pocket and he was like, "What's that? What's that?" And he just didn't want to let go. In case I don't know, I reached for my house key. I was like, it's my key. It's my house key. And then he took it out of my pocket and he was like, "Oh, okay." And he let me hold it. So.
I shall allow you to hold your key.
You're now allowed your key back. I thought I was in so much trouble because I had my key on me. He made me feel like I was in trouble.
Bro, next time
I won't carry my house key, it's fine.
bro, upgrade your locks. Have a key card.
No wonder what that is then.
I think that's pretty much all the time we have. So
And,
thank you guys. This has been great. We've got a lot. It's been brilliant.
yeah.
It's especially much funnier than I expected it to be. So thank you all for coming once again. I'm Reese, Scott, Ryan, Dwight, Isabel, and Ethan. Would you guys like to say goodbye?
Bye.
Hey.
I don't know what you want to say there.
Right, we.
Thank you.
Hi guys.